These are your notes for section 12.6 on measures of central tendency, and this is going to be a relatively short video because it's stuff that you already know. First thing I want to talk about are what the measures of central tendency are, and there are 3 of them, and you should have heard these words before at some point in your math and your school career. Mean is the average of a group of numbers. Median is the middle of the group. And the mode is the most frequent, the one that occurs most often. Okay, now to find the average, you add everything together and then divide by the number of, I'm going to say entries or number of values in your data set. You have 12 different things you're adding together. You would add all 12 values together and then divide by 12 to get the average. Median is the middle number. They need to be listed numerically from largest to smallest, and it's the one that happens in the middle. So if you have an odd number in your data set, you will automatically have a middle number, like 11. There is a middle number if there are 11 things in your data set. If you have an even number, though, you have 2 numbers in the middle. And if they are the same, that's great. Then it'll be whatever number is in the center there. But if they're not, then you average the 2 numbers in the middle. You'd add them together, divide by 2, and you figure out what would be the center of those 2 numbers. The mode is the most frequent, and you can have no mode, or you can have more than one mode. It is okay for both of those. Most of the time you'll just have one, but it is possible if nothing occurs more than everything else that you have no mode, or if you have 2 numbers that happen more than everything else, you can have 2 modes. Other ideas that you're going to need to know are the range, which is the spread of values. And to figure out what the range is, you take the highest minus the lowest, and you get a number. An outlier is something that's uncharacteristic. It doesn't go with the data set. Now the data set, I didn't write this down, but the data set is all of your numbers that you're taking the average or that you're dealing with. That's your data set. And if you have a good data set, then your mean, median, and mode will all be close. They should all be around the same number. If you have an outlier or something, and that's something that is characteristic of not a good data set, then it'll throw one of those numbers off. It may not throw the median, but it should throw the mean off. But again, a good data set has a mean, median, and mode that are all relatively close to the same number. We've got 2 examples. One is a straightforward example and one is an application example. This straightforward example says find the mean, the median, mode, and range of the data below, and it's given 10 or 11, I can't remember, I can't count. We will have to count them and find out, but it's given you some data sets here. Now, a good idea to start, because you're going to have to do this for the median anyway, before you start doing anything, is to list these in numerical order. So we're going to start with the smallest and work our way up to the largest. There is a 6, and then there is another 6. So we have 6, 6, then 7, 9. After 9 would be 10, then an 11. Then we have 2 12s, 17, 18, and 21. And that would be everything in our data set. So let's see how many numbers that is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Good, it's an odd number. That means we'll have a median that's pretty straightforward. There's going to be a specific value that is in the middle. Let's start with the mean, though. Again, to find the mean, we add everything together, and then we divide by the total number of values there are. We have 11 values in here, so we're going to add everything together. 6 plus 6 plus 7, 9 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12 plus 12 plus 17 plus 18 plus 21. When we do that, we get a value of 129. We're going to divide that by 11 because there are 11 values. We're going to round our median to the 10th place, 1 decimal place, so we get 11.7. That would be the mean, the average of our data. The median is the middle number. One way to do it is to count in from both sides. If you can recognize what the middle number is going to be, that's good also. There are 11 values here, which means the middle number, if there's one middle number, is going to have 5 on each side because 11 minus 1 is 10, half of 10 is 5. So I'm going to count in and count in 5, and then that next number would be the median. So we have 6, 6, 7, 9, 10. That's 5 numbers, and then that middle number there, 11, would be our median. And if we count in from the right-hand side, upper numbers, we get the same thing. 21, 18, 17, 12, 12. That's 5 values. 11 is in the middle. So far, this is looking like a good data set because those two, the mean and the median, are the same value. Let's talk about the mode now. Mode is the most frequent, and if we look at our data set, we have two modes. We have 6 and 12. That throws off our data set a little bit because we have two modes. We have a mode that is lower than everything else. The 12 would fit in with a good data set because it's right there around 11, but the 6 throws it off. I would still say that we have a good data set because the majority of our numbers are right there in the center. That's good. The last thing we're going to find is the range, and it's the highest value minus the lowest value. So we have 21 minus 6. 21 minus 6 is 15, so the range, the spread of the numbers, is 15. That's that example. Pretty straightforward. You're just applying what you know about mean, median, mode, and range, and you just find those values. Now our next example is an application problem. It says Emilio wants to run an average of 12 miles a day for a week as training for a marathon. If he runs 12, 14, 9, and 10 miles the first 4 days, how much does he have to run on Friday to maintain the average? Now to solve this problem, we're going to use mean. Mean and average go the same way. So we're going to find the average of our 5 days. He starts with 12, runs 14, 9, 10. We don't know what that last day is, so we're going to put an X there for it. And there are 5 days, 5 values, so we're going to divide that by 5. That would give us the average of our 5 days, and it tells us that our average should be 12. That's the average he wants to run. Now we have an algebra problem. Okay, I'm going to run through real quick again how we set this up. We're finding the average for his 12 days, or for his 5 days that he's running. So we have 12 plus 14 plus 9 plus 10 plus x because we don't know the 5th day. And we're going to divide it by 5 because we're finding the average of 5 data entries. And we want that to be equal to 12 because that's our desired average, our desired mean. That's how we set up this problem. Now we solve it like we normally would. We're going to multiply both sides by 5. We do that in order to get rid of the fraction. At the same time, we're going to add 12, 14, 9, and 10 together so that we get 45 plus x equals 12 times 5 is 60. Subtract 45 from both sides, so x is 15. So Emilio would have to run 15 miles on Friday in order to keep his average of 12 miles a day. And that's how we would solve this problem. Now, you could do it with guess and check. If you think about it, it's got to be somewhere in there with the rest of our numbers. It may be smaller, it may be larger, but it should be in that range. So you could just guess and check numbers if you wanted until you found it. It's a little more work than you would want to do. It could take you a little longer. And the algebra way is probably the easiest. Now, those are your notes for section 12.6 on measures of central tendency. What I would like you to know, the important things to remember, are what mean, median, mode, and range are, because you're going to have to find those for several problems. And then outlier is going to be important in the next section, so you need to remember that also. If you have any questions, bring them to class next time. Otherwise, those are your notes for section 12.6.